Sure, Staley, thank you so much for joining us today. Um, First, let's talk about the question that's on everybody's mind. Why should they vote for you in this upcoming election?
Well, basically, believe I've proven myself, our team. We hold people accountable, whether it be employees, whether it be those doing wrong. Our goal has always been to do what's right, not what's easy. Since day one, we've held thieves, predators, those that seek to harm our children, and we've held them accountable. The drug dealers, we've held them accountable. We have it is the most prolific Tri-County drug task forces in the state. That's I've been the sheriff of the people. Always been accessible. I'm just here for 24/7. This isn't a job that takes a day off. I believe our team has worked really well together, and that's that's basically it. I've worked really hard and continue to my education, my experience, my background. There's a gamut of things.
Hold on one second. Trying to get the view back. You mentioned accessibility.
Sure.
We've heard from the people of Lonoke County, and I'm sure you have a response to this question. I'm going to give you the opportunity to answer it. In regards to accessibility, the people of Lonoke County have told us that the sheriff's office is locked. They are not able to get into the sheriff's office. Is that true?
I mean, there's certain areas that are secure. We have a vestibule. When you first got there, well, during COVID, the two ladies that we had working the front office, we had to secure everything. Nobody was allowed in and out anyway. We had to put a window in so they weren't leaning over the desk to the ladies. They were both in their 70s. We added another window out there. You can walk in, but it's not a free reign. I mean, we have a lobby. So
So
I don't know. I don't know if they're talking about the lobby or
I
what,
believe they're talking about the lock, that just the front door of the sheriff's office is locked.
but it was during COVID and up until maybe what's this 2 years ago. Miss Leslie retired, but there was a window there. Everything was there. When they'd walk up, they'd push the button for the jail. They'd buzz the door open. And between maintenance on those doors, that if you walked in right now, you can walk in the lobby and talk to the ladies at the front window. I don't know. I've heard that, but
Specifically, what's been told to me is the front doors are locked. There's a small window where you speak
Mhm.
through a microphone, and they talk to you through that window.
Uh, yeah, there was times that occurred. It just depends on who's working. With Miss Leslie being an elderly lady, she was worried about the COVID and all that. Well, during COVID, it was locked for sure because nobody was allowed in. But no, it's been accessible for the last couple of years. It's if you walked up here right now, you walk in the lobby. Now that's the only part of the sheriff's office you don't have to be escorted through is that lobby. Um,
So right now,
so,
you're saying the front door is unlocked and people can walk in.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
Another complaint that
now that's not 24 hours. Now that's Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Anything after hours, there's a button on the wall you push. The jailers have to come from the jail because we don't have dispatch here anymore. That may be one of the things too. We had dispatch in the sheriff's office 24 hours a day, and they answered the door. But the public lobby is only open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So I don't know if that's something they were saying. So
again in regards to accessibility and transparency, um, the people, residents of Lonoke County, have mentioned that one of the issues was that they said the sheriff's office was locked. The second issue that they seem to have trouble with is the sheriff's Facebook page comments seem to be disabled on the Facebook page, and they believe that that is taking away their ability to conversate, to let their voices be heard to you and your department.
I can answer that for you. Our Facebook, our sheriff's office page, and anything we share is for information purposes. There's a lot of times people get on there and it's vulgar, it's off of topic, and under the Supreme Court's rulings, we are just we're not asking questions. We're sharing information. And if people want to talk about it, discuss it, it's free to share on their page. But, with the hatred and the threats, there's a whole bunch of different things that occurred. It's either everybody can comment or nobody can comment. And there's just so many people that's not even from here that would like to get on there and share and talk about things that were not on topic of whatever that post was. So absolutely, we're not going to allow somebody just to steadily spew hate and anger, and that they have a right to do that on their sure. Facebook is a limited communication tool, and we're just sharing information. We're not asking for we weren't asking for comments. I mean, our goal is to be open. If they have questions, send an email, call me, I answer. Just like when you call, text, I answer. So, but our Facebook it's limited in the scope of staying on topic. So it's either all comment or none. And if somebody gets on there and throws out cuss words, it becomes a public record, and that's not kind. So.
Okay. On to something that you're very proud of in Lonoke County, the work that you've done with drug addiction, the program for inmates on drugs. Can you tell me how that's going and what you're doing to advance it, if anything?
Sure. We continue to work daily with that. It has grown since the inception. The inception was for a jail program, just general inmate population. Excuse me, a general inmate population, to where it's now more of a diversionary program. The inmates plead out to the subject that's interested in the PAC program has to apply for the program. The probation officers, the prosecutors, the public defenders, or the defense attorneys, even the judge, they all have to agree that they get into the program. Currently, it's around 66 to 67% successful for more than 2 years of keeping people off of drugs. Now, we have some with anything that's actually a higher percentage than most programs across the country, but you're going to have failures. You're going to have some that I don't call them failures. You're going to have some that slip up and still come back and get into a different program. If they didn't make it through the incarceration part of ours, we can still get them to another facility after they complete their time. But right now, it's peer-based, it's peer-led, it's former drug addicts who have sustained recovery. They're doing amazing work. It's reduced our recidivism rate, where our current average population for 2025 was around 134, I believe, per day. In years past, it was upwards of 160 and more. And so we've reduced the recidivism rate on a lot of those offenders who would have visited 10 or 12 times a year or 5 or 6 times a year. They're not coming back to jail. They have jobs, they have families, they have homes, they have vehicles, they paid their fines, they got their driver's license. It's very successful.
Sheriff, you've been in this position for 10 years now. What are some of the biggest accomplishments of this 10 years?
Well, it's actually been more than that. This is starting our 14th year, and out of the homicides that we've had during our tenure, we've solved those, made arrests, drugs. We've taken hundreds of thousands of pounds of drugs off the streets, working with state police, DEA, the FBI. Thefts are down and recovery's up. One of the greatest things is we have continued to hold the predators accountable that seek to attack our children. We have our team, our criminal investigations team. It's major crimes. We have a special investigations unit. They have specialized training, such as the Catch a Predator. Remember that show? We provided that. We have a sex offender coordinator that sits there in the front office. She registers and does their paperwork, submits anybody who's delinquent to a detective. We have 2 sex crimes detectives that work, a sergeant and another detective that work with our Wade Knox Center, our Child Advocacy Center. That's the biggest. That's the working with Wade Knox Center and protecting our kids, and our peer recovery program. That's one, two, and then the others. It just, our team has done so much to rid. I've kept the three promises I've always made was, my promises are made to be broken. The guarantees I made was to be tough and aggressive on child sex predators, thieves, and drug dealers. And that's what we've done.
Sheriff Staley, the sheriff, as you know, doesn't just oversee deputies on patrol. He runs the county jail, which many would say is the toughest part of the job. There are several issues regarding the Lonoke County Jail and Detention Center. It's faced allegations over the years, misconduct claims, lawsuits, concerns about inmate safety. Have you reviewed those cases?
Yeah, I would let you know that our jail inspections have always been great. Our last one was amazing. There, in each and every jail across the state, across the country, you're going to have issues, and majority of those lawsuits, as you see, they go away because they're not valid. And the fact that when a problem is brought to our attention, we investigate it. We investigate it timely. We hold people accountable. There's a current one that's been posted about a lawsuit that we have. When it was brought to our attention, within 24 hours, we arrested three. We arrested two, and terminated a total of three. And I don't know what happens after that. I have no control over. After we do the case file, submit it to prosecutors, the judges, the prosecutors, the defense attorneys, they all do their work. But I will tell you this: a lot of that has been misconstrued. Every jail has issues. It is tough. That's the toughest job about being sheriff, is running the county jail. We have thousands of inmates in and out of our jail throughout the year. Our population may be currently 136 on average a day, but it's 10 to 12,000 a year runs through the jail. And the folks that come to jail are usually, majority, not all, are drug addicts. And once they get here, they're coming down off of drugs. We have medical staff now. Through the years as sheriff, I've worked hard to get funding. And once we got adequate and sustained funding, we hired Turnkey Health. So we have a nurse here 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's helped out a lot. But every time we've had an issue, we investigate it or we turn it over to the Arkansas State Police immediately. If at any time there's a jail death, whether it's suspicious or not, we contact the Arkansas State Police and they come out. They will run that complete investigation. But a majority of the claims are just not true.
Sheriff, I just kind of want to get more into the details of this because these are concerns from Lonoke County residents. There is a dark cloud over the jail regarding allegations, especially inappropriate behavior from staff in the jail. And those have resulted in investigations, terminations, lawsuits. What do you have to say as sheriff, the person that's ultimately responsible for events that happen at the jail?
I mean, we immediately, we don't withhold any information. We immediately investigate. We immediately hold those people accountable that commit those actions. When you're dealing with human beings, whether it's employees or inmates, I don't have 24-hour control over that individual. Okay. Just like our kids. When we send our kids to school, I don't have control over kids while they're out doing stuff. These inmates, these jailers, if they do something wrong, we hold them accountable. That's proven. I don't know about the dark cloud that you're talking about. There are some questions. Feel free to ask them because the investigations are there. We hold those people accountable. And as I said, I don't prosecute. We will do the case file, arrest the individual, and it's up to the prosecutor to bring them to trial. What happens after that, I don't always agree with either. You know, I don't always agree with plea agreements. I believe that we should go to trial on some things. And with the lawsuits, that comes with jails. Ask any jail in Washington County. Now, it's quite a bit larger than ours. Pulaski County, Jefferson County, any county, Monroe County, you know, they've closed jails down. Our jail standards reviews, they stand on their own. We work hard. The jail's clean. It's operational. if somebody does wrong, I hold them accountable. Whether it's through the Arkansas State Police investigating it or our investigators, the a couple of them, they're just blatant. Humans make mistakes. We hold them accountable, prosecute them, and we move on. We do backgrounds, but you don't always know what you get.
Sheriff, it's just a concern that I have, something that was brought to my attention for the sake of transparency. Has an inmate, ever gotten pregnant in your jail?
Um, in many years ago, we had federal inmates that we were holding federal inmates, and in 2000, I would say 2000, probably 14, it was alluded that happened. It was a man and woman that was picked up on the interstate, I believe, was holding for federal custody, and at some point they had made contact with each other in the jail, and months later,
That is considered rape, right?
It could be. They were federal inmates, and whenever that was brought to our attention by the marshals, it's not. They were actually husband and wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, and that was
But
in
inmates are
2000.
not allowed to have.
Absolutely not. They're not allowed to have contact with any other inmate, period. And the way that occurred was he watched how the motions of the jailers worked when they pushed the button to get to the next cell. The communications in the jail is crazy. They talk through the walls because it's set up like kind of like an orange. Come out one day, I'll show you the jail. And he knew where the female, they had been passing kites, and that's another thing that we fight every day. A kite is a note. They're trying to pass it under the doors to the next one, to the next one. He knew which cell she was in. He pushed a button, said, "Hey." We didn't learn about this for a year later, until a year later, whenever the marshals, or 9 months later, the marshal said, "Hey, we believe they had contact." And by that time, we had no video audio. We interviewed the inmate. He said yes. I pushed the button because he'd watched the motions of the jailers, and that's where you change the procedures and how you get out of the door. You have to see who's at the door. But again, that was probably around 2014. But yeah, that's
So nothing recent.
oh no, that's not that I know of. That had to be around 2014. It was two federal inmates, and the marshal service said, "Hey, this guy and this girl," and they had done an investigation on it at their facility and forwarded that information to us.
Okay. Sheriff, regarding the fact that you are ultimately responsible, we're not going to talk about the case details, but it
Sure.
is important that we do bring this up because Aaron Spencer is running against you for your position.
Sure.
And it is a very complicated case, and your department has taken a lot of heat from that case. And let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. One of the concerns from the public was that a detective failed to submit evidence on a timely manner for that case. If we're speaking on transparency and trust of the public from the sheriff's department, what do you have to say to that?
I need clarification about a timely manner, because many of our cases, evidence may not be submitted due to the crime lab being busy, or the AG's office, or another agency that's going to say do forensic interviews or forensic reviews on a electronic device. They may tell us to hold on to that until we submit it.
I think specifically speaking in regards to the dash cam.
Sure. So
that was, I guess, put on a shelf. If you can clarify that, put on a shelf for a year almost.
Well, I mean, there is a dash cam that was in question. They had a hearing on that. There was no rush to send that to the AG's office. You've got to get the right lab to look at it, and it was secured in that detective's office, which is behind a locked door, in his cabinet, behind a locked hallway that takes a ID card and a code to get in, or a code. So to answer your question, I don't know that there was a rush on that. There wasn't a rush on that information. And I know that the next question is probably going to be about the SD card. Humans make mistakes. I don't know if it was our detective that lost a SD card, or if it was lost while at the AG's office. They were moving buildings. I can't put that. I don't know. I don't know where that card went, but it was submitted to the AG's office, and I don't know that there was a rush or a hurry for that to be submitted. There was no pertinent information that we'd found on that camera, but we were trying to get to see if there was any more information from that camera. And when that was submitted, these cases take a while. There's a lot of times we're waiting on the crime lab to I think there's a 2-year backlog right now on rape kits. When you submit DNA, there's a backlog everywhere. So a lot of times, instead of sending it down and letting it sit there, we hold on to it until they say, okay, bring it down. And when they say bring it down, we take it down into them. So there's a lot of misconceptions about what's going on and how the processes work. So
regarding everything that's happened, especially the Aaron Spencer case and the fact that he is now running for your position, it's put a spotlight on Lonoke County for sure. How do you regain the trust of the public that you are voted in to serve?
sure. I think some of the trust is just communication. And when they ask a question, once this trial is ongoing and the actual facts can be released, I think that's going to help out a lot. But until then, a lot of the rumors, the twisted facts, I can't help that. I can only answer what I can answer because we're bound by the rules of criminal procedure, what we can release and what we can't release and what we can discuss. So that actually kind of ties our shoestrings together, because I can't talk about a lot of that. A lot of the things that are shared on social media just aren't factual. They've taken a portion of a fact and was like, hey, I see a lot of people saying, hey, I know everything that happened, and that's not what occurred. We've talked quite a bit. I would love to release everything that we have. There's cases that stem from this investigation that we're still trying to investigate and talk about timely. Well, there's things that we really need done, and we've been blocked. So we've had to forward things to other agencies such as the FBI, and we're working on things. I guess it's just the fact that a lot of it is trust. They've got to realize, look at what we've done, not what has been made up and said we've done. I've always been open, just like what you just asked about the situation from probably 10, 11 years ago. Yeah, it happened. If it happened, I'm going to tell you it happened. So just talking to them, the people that know me, they know I'm going to be straight with them. They know I'm a dad. They know I'm going to take care of business when you call. Just as we were waiting to get on this Zoom, there's a lady who called that needs help with the junkyard down the road. Not much I can do about a junkyard out in the county, but I'm gonna go talk to her and help with that. I get calls 24/7, 2:00 in the morning. I'm getting calls. I need help. I need this. That's who I am. I'm here 24/7. I always have been. Nothing's changed since 2013 when I took office, with the exception of social media has become more prevalent, and there's a lot of people out there that say a lot of ugly things, and a lot of it's not true.
Sheriff, there's also concerns that because you have been in this role for plus 10 years, 14 years, as you say, concern from Lonoke County residents that you might have become complacent in your role. Do you believe that's true?
Absolutely not. I'm a working sheriff. I'm out working with the guys. We are steadily evolving leadership roles. I'm the president of our Sheriff's Association in Arkansas. Sit on the board of the Arkansas Sheriff's Youth Ranch. The governor appointed me to the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Coordinating Council. We're doing innovative things such as the PAC program. I still go out and work with the guys on patrol. If there's a major crime, I show up to it. The complacency is that's laughable if they think that. They just don't know me. I work 24/7. I really don't know when I sleep either, because a lot of times you call, I answer, and that goes along with every other reporter in the Central Arkansas. It's 4, 7, 11, 16, 4 and 16 is the same. Sometimes they get confused who called, who didn't. Complacency is not in me. Lazy is not in me. That's my goal is to protect our families, and that's That's what I've always done. That's what I'll continue to do.
If you were to share a message with voters about potentially, because it is a problem, there is a lack of trust, and in order for trust to be reinstated, actions show more than words. What would you be willing to do to regain the trust of Lonoke County residents?
I don't know what you mean. We do public meetings. We work with each police department. We've added SROs to Carlisle School District, England School District. We've added an SRO at each one of those. Prior to Cabot Police Department or Cabot Public Schools Police Department, we had deputy sheriffs there. Now, of course, that was their employees. We kept them trained. I don't know. I'm always available. I'm available to come speak to any civic group, any citizens group from, there's groups that meet at their own houses. The community, we set up crime watches starting in 2013 when we first took office. Now, COVID killed a lot of those things. We would love to get back to those community meetings, the community crime watches. You got to have leaders in the community that want to get off of the social media and come to those meetings. And, we have meetings sometimes where 2 people show up, and I'm the third. I'll always be there. I'm here. I've always been here. I'm always going to answer the phone. I'm always going to be the one you can count on 2 o'clock in the morning. You call me, I answer.
Sheriff, I want to give you the opportunity to respond to some claims from your opponents. Obviously, your opponent, Aaron Spencer, does not feel like you are fit for this role. It's why he's running. In response to Aaron Spencer running for sheriff, do you have any concerns?
Concerns as in, if I have nothing against Aaron Spencer. I was asked that many times. I don't know Aaron Spencer. I can't say I would have done something similar, but I would be in the same position he's in. If a deputy sheriff did those actions, they would have been in the same position, even their official capacity as he is. I can tell you this, that my resume, my experience, my dedication stands on its own. I've been there. I've done this. I've done the job from patrol investigations. I'm a crisis negotiator. I've educated myself to become a sheriff. I don't see this as a political role. I see this as a protection role. Just as when I got hired part-time as a policeman, my goal, from writing tickets to getting cats out of the trees, that's what we're here for. We're here to protect. We're here to serve. And as sheriff, we run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have criminal investigations. We have civil process. We have patrol, courtroom security. We have courthouse security. We have school resource officers. It's more than just blue lights and pulling people over. If it's not me, whoever gets it, I pray that they get the education and the leadership training that they need, because it's more than just being sheriff. It's more than just a title. We have employees that deserve leadership. We have employees that deserve to know that whoever's leading them has been there and will go where they're going. They're not just pointing away and saying, "Hey, go do this." That they deserve that.
Sheriff, again, for the sake of transparency, I'm going to bring something up. There is video that has circulated about you where you
Sure.
punched and choked an inmate against the wall. And the video kind of speaks for itself, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to, what do you have to say?
Well, I wouldn't say I punched him, because I didn't punch him. I slapped out at him, caught him about his clavicle, his neck area. It's on video. And I used pressure points. We were looking for shanks. When I grabbed him by his shirt and used a pressure point, so your mandibular angle. And then when he was going to spit, I used the other one. If I would have been choking that young man, he'd have been out. Look, I own that. Being sheriff's a tough job. When I was asked about that one time, they said I lied about it. I did not. I was asked if there was video of me slapping or punching and choking a guy. I never punched him. I never choked him. There's pressure points that we use. And when you're in a position like this, you have 30 inmates, you're looking for shanks. This is a tough job. I stand by what I did. I don't mistreat people. But bottom line is, if you're running a jail and you're going to get those shanks and that could save somebody's life, either another inmate or your staff, that's a tough job. And that's what I got to say about that.
How many lawsuits is the jail currently facing?
That changes daily. I know of 2 right now. So, yeah, I know of 2 right now.
And how many employee terminations have you had in the jail for things like inappropriate behavior? And do you know how many of them have actually been charged?
Well, I mean, we fire people for inappropriate things all the time. If you're talking about the sexual stuff, there's at least 3 that I know of offhand that was charged. Now there's been a lot of jailers fired for inappropriate actions, the way they talk to people, the way they conduct themselves. But directed to your question, I know of 3 that's just on the top of my head, but it's been 14 years. We've had a lot of we've held a lot of people accountable. If they do wrong, we hold them accountable.
Sheriff, I want to ask you a few quick questions now. How moving forward to gain the trust of the public, let's say, how would you, if reelected, how would you guarantee the safety of all inmates, especially women, inside that facility?
Oh, I mean, that's already done. When reelected, it's going to continue to be just like we are now. It's every time an inmate or a jailer makes a mistake, we review the policies, procedures, the leadership roles, who's where, how many people do we have to add? Do we need to take this position and move it here? That's an ongoing fluid situation that the females in this facility are secure, they're safe. And if you talk to the majority of them, they know that. And there are more females in jail over the last 5 years than in the previous 15 years. But every inmate has the same rights and they need to be protected. Not only the females, but because it's a reality for everybody that's incarcerated. With limited staffing, we've continued to add deputies or add jail deputies. We've continued to add jail deputies, especially after we secured funding. We need more. When this jail was built in 2011 and opened, it's prior to me becoming sheriff, the Quorum Court was told it could run off of 3 jailers, 1 in the tower, 1 roving, and 1 in intake, and hold 136 inmates. That's crazy. That is not true. That was never true. And we've way surpassed that. So currently the staffing is 4 to 5 a shift with the supervisor. They're always roving. We have guardian. We work with the Arkansas Association of Counties through our risk management. We also jail standards. They come out and they do inspections. There's our guardian system is something else that's surely helping us. The medical staff has been upgraded. It's there 12 hours a day, and they're the kiosks are there. They can report anything they want anonymously. They can report it any kind of PREA, Prison Rape Elimination Act, any kind of offense. They can report that. We investigate all of those.
Okay, Sheriff, sexual assault investigations in this county have raised a lot of questions. Do you feel like your administration effectively handles those cases?
Absolutely. We work from the females, from grown adults to children. Absolutely. We have 2 assigned investigators. We have the sex offender coordinator. I'm not worried. If I am worried about the sex offenders that are registered, we keep tabs on them, but I'm worried about the ones we don't know about that move, that aren't keeping up with the registration. So we are working with a company that's going to come in and give us extra tools so we have more control over how we disseminate that information. ACIC does a decent job of what they do, but there's so much more that they can do. The company we're going with is going to provide us with the ability to do push notifications, and that should be coming online soon, within the next month, probably by March 1st. I'm sure we're going to be up to date on that. But yes, we work well with Wade Knox. Wade Knox is our child advocacy center. We support them. We use the forensic interviewers every chance we get. We also teamed up with the FBI CARD team, Child Abduction Response Deployment. The state police were part of their CART team, Child Abduction Response Team. I mean, we're doing everything we can to protect our children. And we now have mobile data terminals, which makes it easier for the deputies to do the reports in the cars, which makes them more available on the street. Our investigators, they're getting more training. Where the state minimum is 24 hours, our minimum, my minimum that I've always required is 40 hours. Now, during COVID, it was a little harder to get to go to trainings. A lot of it was online, but we're now getting back to, and I know it's been 5 years, we're now getting back to in-person classes. We provide those training. Like I said, the FBI works with us. Their child abduction teams, maltreatment teams. We've got resources from the state police. We work as a team. It's a force multiplier. We work with ASP, FBI, DEA. I mean, there's other state agencies we work with, the AG's office. That's how you make it better, is you work with all those other agencies and pull in their resources as well.
Regarding the Aaron Spencer case, without specifically talking about details of the case, is there anything that could have been done better on anyone's part to prevent something like this happening to families, children, parents of Lonoke County ever again?
Well, you ask if there's anything. Yes, we speak to the kids at schools about sexting and texting and how you're talking to people. We reach out to the schools. Cabot School District now has their own police department. They're doing that where we used to do it. We do that with the other school districts. We reach out. We want to try to educate the parents. Within law enforcement, you know, we're responsible for the public as a whole. It's hard to be responsible for the individual. We're not in your houses. We can only provide tools. We want to provide more tools. Protection orders are just a piece of paper. We need to know what our kids are doing. I can't promote one product over another, but I utilize the BARK app. I have daughters. The BARK app tells us what's said, what's posted. If there's cuss words, you can tailor that. You can get a phone to that. You can get the app. You can get a watch. Use an app like that. Watch what our kids are doing. Talk to our kids. We just got to be more vigilant at that, and that's what we try to stress. Between no school resource officers in those smaller schools, being in part of the Cabot School District. My wife's a school teacher. I'm a former school resource officer. Reaching out to our youth. You know, we also talk about our PAC program that we're doing. We need to reach out to the kids, not just with DARE, with everything in society. Roblox is dangerous. Any of those online gamings where they can reach out and meet people. We're working a case now where we worked up a case where myself and another deputy flew to Detroit, drove over to Ohio, picked the man up and drove him back to the sheriff's office here, detained him. We just did a post on him. We had to turn that over to the FBI because we could not get the cooperation we needed to have that the victim forensically interviewed. That's what we run into. We need to educate folks and say, hey, look, our goal is to put the bad guys in jail. Our goal, and girls, and our goal is to protect our children. And that takes a team. That takes us working with the moms and dads. A lot of times, kids that are victims are from broken homes. We want to reach out and give the tools that is needed. A lot of times it's through addiction that the kids are the kids are in those kinds of situations because the parents are addicted or the mom or the dad split homes. Yes, there's more we can do, but it takes a team. It takes people they have to want to get that information. We're willing to provide it and put on trainings. We just we've got to be vigilant.
And Sheriff, Lonoke County, as you know, sits on a major interstate and a known corridor for narcotics, including fentanyl. What's your plan to help, if reelected, stop the flow of drugs into Lonoke County?
The plan is already in place. We have the most prolific Tri-County Drug Task Force. My narcotics officers are connected to the DEA as a task force officer. They work daily with White County, our Tri-County Task Force, White County, Prairie County, Lonoke County, with Searcy PD being the holder of the agreement. If you reach out to the drug director's office, Tom, and ask him about the drug task force, that's what the board I sat on, the governor appointed me to the Alcohol Drug Abuse Coordinating Council. The Central Arkansas Drug Task Force, I wish I had the numbers in front of me, I would give them to you, but it's we're hitting it every day. We work with the state police. The state police actually works out of this office with their interdiction team. I supply them with an office, with a place to download, with a place to search their cars out back in our garage. We got that donated 10 years ago so we could actually do the searches here instead of at a record yard, because things would come up missing. That's another promise I've made and I've kept, is being tough and aggressive on the drug traffickers. We've gotten meth labs. Well, actually, it wasn't a meth lab. It was actually liquid meth off the interstate.
Would you say that Lonoke County has a drug problem?
Oh, every county in Arkansas has a drug problem. And now with the border being closed, it's slowing down a little bit. But actually, every county in the state, our overdoses are down across the state. There's a couple pockets where they're higher, but fentanyl is poisoning our streets, and methamphetamine is still number one. The fentanyl is causing overdose after overdose. I just went to a funeral a couple weeks ago to a young man who was in our program. He was doing great. One of his old friends stopped by and they went for a ride and they come back. He walks inside, goes to the bathroom and overdoses. One pill can kill. And that's a fight that we fight every day with the joint operations of our drug task force, those local agencies, the state police. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to get those large loads off the interstate. And a lot of this is coming from the cartel. It's all coming from the cartel, but the fentanyl is coming from China to the cartel, and they're getting it. And you're right, Interstate 40 is a corridor for not only drug trafficking, but human trafficking. We're working on getting some, I would love to have some LPRs. We're working on trying to find the right ones so we can check the few hotels that we have along Interstate 40 and try to pick up on any vehicles that may be connected to that. I know the state police have some set up. So, but human trafficking is just as big as the drug trafficking.
You mentioned Arkansas State Police working out of that office. Speaking of working out of that office, I want to give you the opportunity to respond to this. David Buford told us that once he applied for this to get elected for Lonoke County Sheriff, he said that you will not let him in the sheriff's office anymore. He is banned from the sheriff's office. Is that true?
That's not true. Here's what was told to him. He come by when he wanted to come in and talk about running for sheriff, and I said, if you want to come here, it's going to have to be strictly business until this race is over. I'm not. Anybody would be like that. He's allowed here for official business. He's also said I try to get his job taken. So once somebody, you want to talk about not telling the truth, that's not telling the truth. I told him that I didn't need to visit with him. If he's going to file a run, the only time he needs to be here, you can ask anybody that was here, my command staff. They advised him that he's welcome here as long as it's part of an official business. But I work when I'm here. I don't drink coffee. I don't have people come by and just hang out. So he was not kicked out of the sheriff's office. He was just told it needs to be official business. So he also said I try to get his job. That's absolutely a lie.
Sheriff, finally, your last word to voters. Why should they vote for you again?
Proven experience. I'm reliable. I'm dedicated. I've been here. The people that know me know me. They know what we do every day. The team that we've built, we protect our kids. We get the drugs off the street. Our special investigations unit has recovered more. Our thefts are down. Recoveries are up. Our sex offenders are in compliance. If they're not, they get arrested. I think we have maybe 2 warrants. One, nobody can find him. He last known was in Little Rock somewhere, but he's probably not alive. He's not used his debit cards or anything. He's actually listed as a missing person. But the last word of the voters are, I'm John. I'm here for you 24/7. This isn't a job you can learn on the go. And to have Bufford say that, we'll leave it at that, because I'm going to go out on the high road. He doesn't work here anymore. He didn't retire. He left on his own accord. But I'm going to leave on positive. I'm John Staley. I'm your Lonoke County Sheriff. I'd appreciate your vote and support to continue building upon what we've built over the last, we're starting 14 years. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the people.
Sheriff, I have one final question for you. This is the last one. Regarding sexually abused victims, especially minors, when we take a predator in, are you an advocate for higher bonds? And I'm sure you've also seen our interview with Aaron Spencer, where he mentioned that to bond out now. And I've said this across the board. I personally do not know how much a lawnmower cost. I could probably Google it and let you know right now. But he has said that for the price of buying a lawnmower, you can bail out of jail. It sets kind of a dangerous precedent, don't you think, to be able to be a predator and just be able to bail out at any time? You could just continue to do that.
I'm glad you asked this question. As sheriff, as the sitting on the board of the Sheriff's Association for many years, we have spoke with our legislators. We spoke with the Prosecutors Association, the Public Defenders Associations, with the judges. We've asked them to set minimum bonds. And we were kind of shot down about, hey, that's a constitutional issue under the rules of the criminal procedure. Under the 8th Amendment, no excessive bail should be set. Under the 14th Amendment, it had to be passed to make the states answer and follow the Constitution. But between the 8th and the 14th Amendment, the judges are the ones that set the bond. Now, the prosecutors, absolutely, we want higher bonds for those, but we want them to be constitutional as well, because it could be you or I or anybody else. It's not going to be us with those kind of charges. But if you're arrested because somebody said you did something, there's 48 hours to get an affidavit signed. Within that 48 hours, the judge will sign that probable cause affidavit. And within 72 hours, you're supposed to have a bond hearing or a first appearance. Our bonds are no bonds. Any felony is a no bond, with the exception of a possession, say, of methamphetamines. That's a felony amount, or felony amount of marijuana. But it's like a personal, that right there is a Class D felony. That might get a $2,500 bond, but we still call the judge. But any other, absolutely. I've stressed the prosecutors for years. I've stressed it. They go in, they ask for a bond. Of course, the defense is going to ask for a lower bond. The judge has to take each consideration. They're going to look at you and say, how many times have you been arrested? Are you a risk? Are you a flight risk? And I don't know where they're getting the price of a lawnmower, but $50,000 bond or a $60,000 bond is about average here. That's the bond. But if you use a bonding company, that's 10%. So 50,000 is 5,000 plus a bond fee. So you're looking at probably $5,300. I don't know.
Well, how much is a lawnmower? About 5,000. I would assume 3,000, maybe to 5,000.
It could be. But you have to have, you're supposed to have collateral for that $50,000. You give that company cash and you have something they're holding of collateral, and that bond company will say you'll appear in court. That's what a bond hearing is for. It's not for punishment, because you're innocent until proven guilty. While everybody that we've arrested, I'm going to tell you, when we arrest somebody, we've got the evidence to convict them. I wholeheartedly believe that. I'm not the judge. I'm not the jury. I'm not the one that's saying you're not guilty. And as sheriff, as any other officer, any other law enforcement, we want those bad guys held. That's why I support a prison. Those are the people that need to be in prison. Is sex offenders. We are letting too many of them out early because I don't know why they let them out early, but it's happening.
Would you be an advocate for if they do bond out and bonds don't get raised, would you be an advocate for having some type of
Well,
ankle monitor bracelet situation to monitor these
yeah,
predators?
absolutely. The judges can demand that. They can have that, but I don't mind if the county pays for that because I want to know where they're at. So um, I don't know. I don't know anybody that would be against that. I think that's. I mean, there's times that when we go to release somebody for medical, we put them on it because they're in jail for. Uh, we don't have people in jail for just marijuana. If they're in jail for just marijuana, it's like hundreds of pounds of marijuana. You know what I mean? So anybody in our jail is dangerous. But if we're going to let somebody out of jail that's been accused of assaulting a child, absolutely, they need an ankle monitor, or there's different ones too. They got wrist monitors now, but we use ankle monitors. There's no reason we cannot do that. I, I don't know why our judges don't. That would be a question for them because I don't know why we don't go to trial on more stuff. A lot of times there's pleas given. I don't. A lot of times we don't get asked that. Now, back in years ago, we'd get asked by the prosecutor saying, "Hey, we're looking at giving a plea to this person for this." I haven't gotten one of those calls in years. I know. Go back to COVID. It's crazy going back to that, but I think they're still catching up from COVID. A lot of those cases are still. I know that's been 4 or 5 years ago, but they're still trying to catch up. But absolutely, whenever you have a sex offender, there's a lot of sex offenders that are on parole probation that wear them every day. That, yes, I'm very passionate about that, but we've tried to get the bond schedule set, and the answers are that's the judge's decision. And I understand why. I understand how the Constitution works. I understand we're innocent to prove guilty, but it's frustrating on the law enforcement's part because I've got the case file in front of me, and most of the time we have the interviews. And the only bad thing is there's a lot of sexual assaults, and you can look at the national statistics about this, especially with children, that it's over custody. They turn out to not be true, and that's what hurts the ones that are actual victims. You have somebody trying to use that for a custody tool. That's not cool. But if you're accused of that, I think the judges should require ankle monitor, or they can sit in jail.
Sheriff Staley, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you.